I'm Pollyanna Costa with Sacred Stars Astrology. Welcome to Star Memory Keeper Astrological Updates. Today, what we're going to talk about is 2018, a great time for some new beginnings and to strategize your year ahead, and hopefully with giving you a few insights about the planetary movements for the year ahead that will help you and support you in your goal setting and your goal planning and moving towards where you'd like to go. First off, I'd like to talk about the bigger energies of the sky. We have some continued themes from the last several years that are, continuing to wake us up and shake us up, and the powers that be being shook up and things being exposed behind the scenes. We have Pluto, the transformer, working still very closely with Uranus, the awakener. And these two planets have been in this sort of challenging aspect since about 2008. And this is actually part of a larger cycle which started in the 60s with the conjunction. And as you know, many of you know, we had the Cultural Revolution, and it was a big, important time in the world, especially here in the United States, with the just that things changed a lot, right? We're a different culture now, we're different people. So now this particular point of the relationship between these two planets, Pluto and Uranus, this is the adjustment point. We have to look at, okay, well, let's get real, what the things that we wanted to implement at that time, what are we doing that is working and what are we doing that is not, right? This is the adjustment point. So there's those planets. We will go back to those and what they're doing in relationship to some of the others. One of the biggest things for this year is Saturn has moved into its home sign of Capricorn. Saturn deals with authority, with rules, with limits, boundaries, recognition, achievement, goals. And in Capricorn, it's time to really roll up our sleeves and get to work. It's also time to walk our talk. Saturn and Capricorn both deal with integrity. So here again, this is also going to contribute to the themes that I just mentioned previously. This also resonates with, in Chinese astrology, this is the year of the Earth Dog, which is very hardworking, also likes to play hard. There are many opportunities, they're coming, but we will have to go out and get them, right? So Saturn in Capricorn really wants us to work. Another piece of this is that is Jupiter in Scorpio. Jupiter deals with our belief systems. It deals with expansion of consciousness. It's been traveling in Scorpio. It also deals with the justice system and legal. So we see this sort of this fierce justice happening. We see on the personal level, this can, highlight the creative imagination, especially since it's interacting harmoniously with transiting Neptune in Pisces. So these are also very mystical energies. So one of the ways to work with this can help us with the more difficult pieces of these energies by, exploring the creative imagination, by our meditation process or system, by connecting with the divine, whatever that is for us. So another piece of this is that, I was talking about Uranus before, and Uranus has been in Aries for the last 7 years. So Uranus will be moving into Taurus from May to November. And at that point, that is going to put all of the outer planets in yin signs, which is going to support the Me Too movement, the Time's Up movement, the gender equality, gender identity, supporting that further understanding of what gender identity is, supporting women, supporting a lot of people, more organizations and people in high places, and as in government, as in Hollywood, as in corporations, will be called to task, right? It's really a call to really look at ourselves too on the personal level. This isn't just them out there. This is also all of us. We need to look at where we've been complicit, or where we've been, quiet, where we witnessed something and didn't do anything about it, where we've allowed ourselves to sort of take it, or where we've even been the abuser ourselves. The gift of this is the gift of these energies and of looking within and continuing to do that personal process work, continuing to move forward with, stepping into our authenticity and stepping into our gifts, which is also supported by these planets. It's not that they do things to us, it's what we do with the energies. So stepping into our authenticity in a bigger way is really important. So it's about truth. What's your personal truth? What is how can we, on the personal level, make change in the world by working on ourselves, by changing ourselves, by standing up for others, by walking our talk, by speaking up when we witness an injustice. We're all being called to task to some degree. We do refer sometimes astrologers, an archaic term for Saturn is the taskmaster or the lord of karma, which sounds pretty heavy. But Saturn is also, the planets are also our allies. Right? If we are working with the energies and asking them what they want us to do, and we're paying attention and working on ourselves, they actually really help us evolve and grow and have a better life, a better understanding, a more richer, fuller, deeper, satisfying experience in our lives. So maybe now I'll go a little bit to some of the other energies, which are also important, but talking about the inner planets or the personal planets, we have both Mars and Venus retrograding this year. This is important because both these planets are very involved in personal relationships. Mars is also involved in how we move through the world, drive, motivation, how we assert ourselves. It's also, war and aggression, depending on how we're using it. And so when a planet is retrograde, it's time for review in all of these areas, right? With Mars, it's, what are you passionate about? It will be retrograding in in Aquarius, and then moving back into Capricorn. These are also both Saturn-ruled signs, so it highlights the Saturn in Capricorn, so it can help us review so that we can check in with our goals and make sure they're really the goals that we want to achieve. So if Saturn is the goal, Mars is the action that we take to achieve them, right? It's the impetus, it's the drive, it's the forward movement. But when it's retrograde, it's time to internalize the energies and to sort of review and revisit and renew and refresh. So it's a great time to re-strategize, to look at what's working, what's not working, to look at, wow, is this still, in alignment with is this still where I want to go? We might even decide to change directions. The Venus part of this, Venus will retrograde in Scorpio and then even back to Libra, which is a Venus-ruled sign. Whenever we're talking about Venus, we're talking about love, relationships, and money. Also personal values. So with Venus retrograde, or with any retrograde really, it's time to slow down the energies. We can call it a pause, we can call it a reset. actually found the retrograde energies to be very powerful for healing in any of these areas. We may review our aesthetics, we'll look around us and say, wow, my environment is not representative of who I am, or doesn't reflect, what I want to bring in, who I really am, how I feel, what my desires are, what my values are. This is a really big piece of Venus, that Venus deals with values, which also, again, resonates back to, I mentioned Uranus moving into Taurus, also a Venus-ruled sign. We could find that at that point that even though it's going to retrograde back into Aries for a while, it is moving in that direction, and Uranus spends about 7 years in each sign. So it will, we may find that our personal values, if they're holding us back, or they need to be updated. Uranus is about change, and it's about big change. So the Venus and Mars retrograde, along with the 3 times a year Mercury retrograde, can really help us be mindful about the changes that we want to bring in, and to really, with that review process of really making sure that sort of being really thorough about our life plan, thorough about our goals, thorough about, and mindful about the relationships that we have, and looking at them, are they working? It's also relationship patterns and behaviors. If my needs aren't getting met, why? Is it am I not communicating them? Am I with the wrong person? Am I, right? And there are times that sometimes some relationships fall away. Sometimes they shift and change. It's been my personal experience that oftentimes, some key relationships actually deepen. Deepen in intimacy and the closeness, whether it's friendships, partnerships, business relationships, counselor-client, any type of significant one-on-one relationship. So I want to go back to these outer planets being in yin signs. And the yin signs are the earth and water signs. One of the things that, will really be, with all these bigger planets, right? Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, all in yin signs for a significant period of time, we need to really look at how our relationship to the planet and resources, and how we're utilizing them, how we access them, how we treat Mother Earth. The Uranus and Taurus could offer, hopefully really could offer some great new innovative solutions. Again, it's about relationships. We're talking about Venus and Mars retrograde, and then the outer planets all being in yin signs. It's about relationships. So how about the relationship to our home planet, right? Our home. This is our home, and we need to respect our home and wake up to, how we're treating Mother Earth. The eclipses this year are mostly in Leo Aquarius. And this is the axis of, we say the axis of love: Aquarius, brotherly love; Leo, self-love, romantic love. It's also about being seen, being out in the world, personal creative expression with Leo. With Aquarius, it's more about the collective. And then as these are not, the eclipses are connected to, or the eclipses are represented by what we call the lunar nodes, which are not heavenly bodies, but we sort of treat them as such. They're points, they are the points, they represent the points in the zodiac where the eclipses are occurring during that time. And they have a lot to do with our evolutionary path, if we're talking about in the natal chart. So, and then by transit, in other words, as they move through the sky, then they connect with different, they activate different points in the zodiac. We saw last year the August eclipses were about 11 degrees of Aquarius Leo and 27, 29 Aquarius Leo. So we see the January 31st eclipse in Leo, and then also the eclipse that's in February. Both of these sort of very similar degrees, which really highlights the themes of love, and with Leo having our heart in it, with Aquarius with thinking about the collectives, about the bigger picture, right? And so you would look at wherever, always with any of the energies, really you're looking at where they connect to your own personal chart, so they can bring something new, right, and reveal something that was previously hidden, because everything else is, most everything is hidden. So then they bring sort of like one thing, or one insight, or one sort of hidden factor to light. But there can also be something that we have to let go of often, right? Because the North Node is the evolutionary potential, the path. Some people use the word destiny, and then the South Node is sort of where we came from. So it is resources and tools that we came in with, but it's the place we don't want to stay, and it can represent loss. So it's a bringing in and a letting go. We don't always notice right away. Oftentimes the effects are noticeable later, or we'll get a little hint of it, but it's part of a bigger, a bigger picture, a bigger deal. So whenever that point is sensitive, will remain sensitive for a period of time. So, I find it fun to sort of watch what happens when, planets cross those degrees. We're talking 11 to 15 and 27, 29 of Aquarius Leo at this point. Okay, so I also like to talk about the Mercury retrograde periods. In 2018, it'll be retrograding in fire signs, and Mercury retrogrades 3 to 4 times a year, as many even non-astrologers are aware of. As many of us have experienced the pesky, sort of the pesky little problems or challenges that can come up with Mercury retrograde. Again, it's a reset. It's a time to pause, to review, to revisit, reorient, change our minds. Mercury deals with connections. It deals with communication, transportation. That's and commerce. And this is one of the reasons why it's so. Sometimes people find it so challenging, is it has rulership over so many areas of our daily life. It also rules technology, so that's your car. It rules, your checkbook, your connections. Again, I found it to be a really healing energy. If we slow down, if we keep our sense of humor, if we can remain unattached to how things happen, right? Be flexible, which is a good idea at any time anyways. In fire signs, the creative expression, we may find that we want to, that the way that we're expressing ourselves maybe isn't, it needs another layer of authenticity, right? And if we're an artist, we might decide that we want to work in a different mode, right? Or we might decide that our color scheme isn't working, or we might decide that it's also very active, and fire is also, dynamic, physical, active. We might just decide that, we want to go in another direction. Again, that, resonates with the Mars going retrograde, with, a lot of the other bigger energies. But if we, revisit, if we can't find our keys in the morning, we're trying to get out of the house, right? Maybe, and we keep, it's 3 trips to the door and we still, I forgot something. Come back into the house, sit down, have a cup of tea, take a few breaths, something to reset, right? My sister actually who's not an astrologer, referred to Mercury retrograde as a pause. And that really resonated with me. I felt that was very wise insight from a non-astrologer. And that was from her personal, just her personal experience. And, we don't have to be an astrologer to be connected to these energies. We are made of stardust. It's our birthright to be connected to these energies. I have found that people dream about what's going on for them astrologically all the time. As a dream worker, as a tarot reader, as a professional counseling astrologer, we're all connected to this. Astrologers just, they actively pursue it because that's their love, because that's their dream, because that's what they're here to do. So they don't really have any other choice. At least I don't. And I'm blessed for it. So, we can all tap into these energies. We can all benefit and strategize by sort of, having an idea of what's going on, right? Rather than, oh my God, this is something that's happening to me. What, I'm having a Saturn transit. I'm having a Pluto transit. Well, stop, think about it. Of course, if you are having a Saturn or Pluto transit, it is a good time to consult an astrologer to help you navigate that. But, they're not doing anything to us. It's whatever experience that we chose, whatever lessons, whatever experience, whatever growth that we chose before we incarnated. At least that's my belief. I know there's a lot of different philosophies about, what we're doing here and how and why, and that's just my personal belief. Well, we've looked at, I've talked a little bit about the growth potential of 2018. There's plenty of opportunities, not without challenges, but that's life anyways, isn't it? But, we can, if we reconsider the trajectory that we're on, the path that we're on, by being aware, by taking some time to be still, whether that's in nature, whether that's your meditation, right? That stillness can really shine a light on, where we're at and what's true for us. Right? And that also allows us to take practical action because that is important to take practical action. It is the year of the Earth Dog. We've got, the Saturn in Capricorn. Saturn really wants us to, Saturn is pragmatic and wants us to take practical action. But if we take that time to slow down and contemplate and review, reconsider, it can help us, bring to light what it is that wants to emerge, right? And with that, we can feed our dreams and shine our light. Happy New Year.